It's all digital marketing. That's the entire point of this. And it's the only reason we're making a battle royale for every one-on-one outreach method that I know of and have some experience with. Because look, at the end of the day, our main goal here is that we have a list of certain characteristics that we attach to our ideal customer, and we want some way in order to reach them. For our business, of course. And unless that you've already run the same business or one that is very similar to it, you won't have anything beyond the faint guess that in reality isn't actually supported by any data. And so I'm here to just relay some of my experience. Sometimes you can make very obvious assertions about what kind of people and where they might largely congregate. Like for example, if you're advertising for something at a bingo night in a retirement home, you're gonna have a much better chance at getting a bunch of 60 and 70-year-olds knocking at your door rather than some 20-year-old college frat boy. If you're running a business that deals a lot with very online heavy media, illustrations, graphic designs, advertisement, content agencies, then it makes much more sense to make your advertisement based around that same online digital medium. So the first and best step is always to sit down with a good, nice piece of paper and a pen and think really hard about what kind of business that you want to create or are running in reality, and where the ideal people might be hanging out for it. Who is it best going to serve? And that's what I did in order to figure out what kind of person should I be going for in regards for content creation and editing services. Like the bingo example from earlier, I'm sure that there are some traditional methods that I could use that would help my business, but I just don't have physical access to them where I am right now. Like maybe I could put up flyers around the audio equipment shops and camera stores for an advertising company or production company of some sort. Since the foot traffic there is clearly for people that are either directly interested or tangentially so. If I do a bunch of editing for wedding videos, I could go to a bunch of florists and wedding venues and say that if they refer me, I'll give their customers a discount. And in my case, which is content editing, because that is my business, video editing and content creation, it makes sense that the people are going to be businesses, content creators, advertising companies, people that run ads. It's basically that anyone that advertises through media is a lead in themselves. So my outreach methods are going to be in trying to find as many of those people that seem as qualified as I can reasonably assume, and then reaching out to them with a message and an offer. And through doing that, I'm just sharing the ones that I found to be the best in regards to that. Keep in mind that your best shot is always going to be going after the narrowest slice of people that you feel that you can service best, whether that's based on your previous attempts where you were just shooting in the dark, or things that you already have experience and knowledge in. I tend to find a lot of success with tech and software businesses, and so that is where all my effort tends to go. They just generate a lot more revenue than, say, something like gaming. But we'll break that down in the battle royale of social media. We have Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and a secret contestant. I know YouTube seems like an obvious one. I mean, you're watching this video on YouTube, but since I can't exactly DM any of you one-on-one, it doesn't exactly fit the cut. In any case, the guns are smoking, the eyes are smoldering, and now we begin with Facebook. Well, that was quick. What? But why did Facebook go out the race so quickly? Well, that's because that Facebook has quite a few issues with it actually. The first is, let's be honest here, what was the last time that any of us actually recently, honestly, unironically used Facebook? The people that are still on there are the ones that already got used to it and never want to move to another platform, i.e. our parents' generation. So you're not gonna find many people that are either gonna be willing to invest and spend on a digital service, and the people that will aren't going to be too keen on spending a lot of it. It's just the wrong demographic for this sort of thing. The second one is that if you're going for businesses, because that's usually where a lot of the money is, you're gonna have a lot harder of a time, since the main way from what I've seen to advertise on Facebook as a one person without running ads is gonna be going into groups and putting yourself out there through that. And since groups are filled with everyday normal people, no, it's not gonna work great. It's gonna be much better suited for someone that is going for B2C, like a business to customers, the general public, than you are from a business to a business. A software company that I once worked with had an interview with a church web design company that advertised through Facebook groups by just helping out with technical difficulties until people were like, just do it for me. So it works, and you can make money with it. It's just not very effective for my own, and I'm assuming your business model. Now that is very different to more network-centered social media platforms like Twitter, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Twitter is by far my most favorite of them all because it makes everyone pretty much just largely accessible to you. I've had several conversations with accounts that had hundreds of thousands of followers just because of a well-crafted message and somewhat a decent entertaining offer. It's an absolute bounty when it comes to that stuff, and if you pay attention to the comments of the people that you have in your leads list, you have an almost extending tree of leads that you can go and search through recursively. That and going after the people that they follow, and that way it's a lot better than just shooting in the dark and hoping that something hits. Now Instagram has a lot of the same advantages, but I definitely see a slight difference between the two, since Instagram is a lot more visually focused on the whole flashy kind of glamour side of things, because it's an almost entirely visual platform, while on Twitter you're gonna find a much wider range of people and businesses on there, just because the barrier for content is so much lower at being just a well strung together combination of letters. And while you can send as many messages as you want on Twitter to an account, on Instagram you're limited to one before they decide if, hey, I want to keep talking to this person or nah, ignore him. LinkedIn is a hard one. I have an account on it, but it seems like so much more constricting of a platform as opposed to others, because it's so heavily reliant on the mechanism of other people interacting with you. There is no discoverability on it. Like somehow a random person could stumble on content from me on Twitter or YouTube or even Instagram, but for LinkedIn, no. Unless they have a connection with you or they interacted with you or someone sent a message somewhere, they're not gonna know anything about what you do. But it also means that if you make a lot of good, sincere connections on there, it's gonna be probably one of the best and most effective tools that you have, since you're not under the mercy of an algorithm and you're dealing with entirely professionals, i.e. businesses and people. That means money. Well, budgets that they can use to spend and invest on services, on what you can do, on the things that you have for them. So I still would recommend it, but maybe not as your main tool. And lastly, an honorable mention: Discord, the Facebook of young people. Well, hear me out. In my early freelancing days, I had a lot of communication and work that was happening through Discord, funny enough. Whether referrals by other people that they were the most comfortable talking through Discord, or just me finding them on there naturally. I call it the Facebook of young people because the mechanism on there is gonna be largely the same as you would on Facebook. You're gonna be going into groups called servers, and then you're just gonna find people that seem qualified that you can sprout a connection with and use that into making it a business relationship that you can use to render services and products for money. The big advantage it has is that it's a lot younger of a demographic as opposed to Facebook. But on the downside of it is that it's a very mixed bag in my experience. Like, you could find $5 worth of work on there for something that's gonna take you hours, or you can find an oil sheikh that's gonna pay you $500 to put a mustache on his house cat. You never know. And with that lovely image in mind, I will hopefully talk to you in a couple of days. And with that, bye.